This is Matador News, and these are today's headlines.
This does not mean that the investigation is over.
Baltimore police hand over evidence to state attorney.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Former producer Suge Knight pleads not guilty in court today. And summer's here and gas prices are up more than 30 cents in 1 week. Hello and welcome to Matador News. I am Jacqueline Serrano.
And I'm Alicia Zerai.
The Baltimore Police Department has wrapped up its criminal investigation into Freddie Gray's death and turned it over to the state's attorney. Police Commissioner Anthony Batts said his department is ready to help the state's attorney get more evidence as needed.
Also know that getting to the right answer is more important than the speed. Making sure that we look and overturn every rock is more important than just coming forth and giving a document.
Freddie Gray died after suffering a spinal injury while in police custody. State Attorney Marilyn Mosby will now look at the evidence and decide what charges, if any, will be made. House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi says the federal government will also look into it.
Gray's death, though, in police custody demands answers, and I'm pleased that the Department of Justice has opened an investigation as to what happened. To find justice, we must respect the great, successful tradition of nonviolence.
Dozens of people calling for justice have been arrested at protests in Baltimore and other cities across the nation.
Over 5,000 people have been killed in Nepal's earthquake, with over 11,000 now injured. Aid workers haven't found many survivors, but a group of U.S. disaster assistance response team members helped rescue a teenager who'd been trapped under a 7-story building for 5 days. The 15-year-old Pemba Tamang says he was working in a hotel when the 7.8 earthquake hit on Saturday. Team member Eddie Thurston says it took several hours for the Nepalese and American disaster response workers to free Tamang.
He looked tired. He didn't look like he was in terrible condition. He was conscious. He was talking, but he definitely looked tired. Like he'd been in the rubble for a while. So he was definitely disheveled.
DART member Andrew Olvera says he doesn't plan on leaving until the job is done.
It's amazing that the U.S. government has sent us across the world to help people in need, and we're here to actually help the people. So it's an amazing feeling.
Aftershocks are expected to last over the next couple weeks or even months. Nepal's government minister Minendra Rajal is asking for millions of tents and other aid relief for the large number of residents who have been forced to leave their homes.
10 people have been sentenced to life in prison for the shooting of Malala Yousafzai. This comes 2 years after 15-year-old Yousafzai was shot in the head by Taliban militants while riding home on a school bus. The Taliban targeted her after she spoke out in support for girls' right to an education. She went on to survive the attack and won the Nobel Peace Prize for her activism, along with India's Kailash Satyarthi last year. Malala now lives in Britain with her family due to continuing threats against her life.
A teenager is dead after losing control of his vehicle during an alleged street race in San Bernardino. 19-year-old Mark Anthony Jimenez crashed head-on with a Toyota Corolla that was not involved in the race. The crash happened last night on Highland and Macy Street. 3 passengers in the Corolla were transported to the hospital in unknown conditions. Police are searching for the other driver that fled the scene.
Thousands of nurses in Los Angeles are taking part in a strike this morning. The California Nurses Association says the nurses are calling for higher staffing levels and a stronger voice in patient care. 3 Southern California hospitals are affected by the strike. One is in Hollywood, another in Torrance, and a third in Santa Monica. Although some surgeries have been canceled, Kaiser officials say services in the main will not be affected by the strike.
Consumer advocate Aaron Brockovich joins residents from the Gardena in their fight against the black tap water coming out of their faucets. Brockovich says she would not drink it or bathe in it if you paid her. Gardena residents have not seen any improvements in the quality of water since the issue was brought to the water company in February. Brockovich will be holding a community meeting today with local residents for a possible lawsuit against the water provider Golden State Water Company.
Now we go to the newsroom with Matador News reporter October Primavera with an update on gas prices.
Gas prices over the last 2 weeks have shot up more than 40 cents per gallon. Some CSUN students say it does have an impact on their daily lives.
It definitely makes my commute harder because I drive from West Hills to Northridge for school, and then I drive all the way to Hollywood for work. And so it definitely makes it a lot harder for me to get where I need to go and takes a good toll out of my paycheck to be able to go to school and work. And so just all the stresses makes it a little bit harder.
College students, we don't have the opportunity to make as much money as we will when we're out of college. So 43 cents, and someone for me who commutes 20 miles one way, 40 miles round trip a day, 5 days a week, that really adds up in the long run.
Are at work. Gasoline is processed differently in California in the summer in order to maintain the air quality. Another cause is the recent temporary closing of a Chevron refinery in El Segundo. Analysts expect gas prices to reach $4 within the next couple of weeks. CSUN students can download the app Gas Buddy on their smartphones to help find the least expensive prices in their area. Now let's go to Lindsey Karlis with more on business news.
Thank you, October. The Wall Street Journal is reporting today that Apple's new iWatch is having some problems. Apple users say iWatch owners with tattoos on their wrists may not be able to benefit from all the fun the iWatch is supposed to offer. These users may be unable to use Apple Pay, receive notifications, place calls, or use certain apps. Apple says the watch is supposed to sense the user's heart rate to determine that they are wearing it. But having tattoos on your wrists may decrease the reading levels of your heart rate, not allowing the iWatch to recognize the user. Apple has not made any official comments regarding the matter, but stock price dropped 2.5%. Sony Pictures is focusing on a new profit strategy. This comes after the devastating hack on the company late last year. Famous for creating consumer electronics like the Walkman and Discman, the company isn't making much money on gadgets. Their profit is now coming from the components that are going in other manufacturers' products. Image sensors and the PlayStation are on the forefront of the innovation. The company predicts a $1.2 billion profit this fiscal year. Now to Stephanie Stanziano with sports.
Thanks, Lindsay. This weekend, millions of people around the world are expected to tune in to one of the most anticipated fights of the decade. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather say they share the fans' excitement.
The fans all over the world, I know they're very excited, so I'm happy.
I mean, I've been here before. I know that I can fight. I know that I'm a strong athlete. And I'm not 47-0 for no reason. It's obvious I've been doing something right, but I'm just blessed and I'm happy.
Although both fighters say they're excited, Pacquiao's trainer Freddie Roach says the road to the fight has been a difficult one, with Mayweather trying to find reasons to postpone. Just today, an ESPN correspondent posted pictures of Pacquiao getting his cup checked because Mayweather said it sat too high, blocking body shots. Even with all of the press around the fight, many tickets are still on sale, but the prices might stop you from taking a weekend vacation to Vegas. The cheapest ticket listed on StubHub are priced at almost $4,000. Floor seats are going for about $350,000. Happy Draft Day football fans! Today marks the day where everyone finds out where in the NFL former college stars will end up. Social media has been buzzing with everyone from your average Joe to ESPN weighing in on who they feel will the top 10 draft picks will be. With all of the commentary, Twitter has made a pick list based on the amount of times a player has been mentioned online with a particular team. We will all find out who picked right when the draft starts at 5 tonight on ESPN with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers first on the clock. In hockey news, the Anaheim Ducks play their first game in round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight against the Calgary Flames. The number 1 seed Ducks are expected to avoid being burned by the number 3 seed Flames in this matchup. The game airs at 7 tonight on NBC Sports. Now let's go back to Lindsey Karlis with entertainment news.
Thank you, Stephanie. Marion Suge Knight has pleaded not guilty to murder and all other charges related to the fatal hit-and-run incident earlier this year. He faces 1 count of murder for the death of Terry Carter, 1 count of attempted murder in the case of Clyde Sloan, and 1 count of hit-and-run. Sloan declined to identify Knight as his attacker in court earlier this month. Knight is accused of running over the men during an argument that broke out in a parking lot of Tam's Burgers in Compton. The incident was caught on tape that shows Knight inside the red truck that was seen striking the men. His bail is set at $10 million, and the trial is set to begin in July. If convicted, he faces up to life in prison. Nick Loeb, the ex-fiancé of Sofia Vergara, is fighting to keep the 2 embryos he shares with the Modern Family actress. In 2012, the couple became engaged, at which point they created the embryos to conceive a child using a surrogate. They signed a form stating that the embryos could only be brought to life with both parties' consent. It did not state what would happen if the couple is separated, so Loeb is asking that the form be voided. Believing that life begins at fertilization, Loeb filed a complaint in August against Vergara to prevent her from destroying their embryos. This case has brought to light questions about who has the right to embryos. Some fertility specialists say that in most cases, the mother of the egg is giving the power of attorney, although anyone can make a request. The Avengers are back, and the movie is set to live up to superhero expectations. The $250 million budget led to 2 hours and 22 minutes of stunts, explosion, and computer effects. The team is all here as Iron Man, the Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, and Hawkeye take on the villain Ultron. Written and directed by Joss Whedon, the dialogue is clever and entertaining, and there are a few fresh tweaks on familiar icons. The movie will be released tonight in midnight showings. Now to Stephanie Stanziano with Health News.
Thank you. Health officials say German measles are officially gone from North and South America. Vaccines against the deadly disease were first licensed in 1969 and are now a part of childhood shots. The German measles, also known as rubella, is a viral disease spread through coughing or sneezing. Other symptoms involve a 3-day rash and a low-grade fever. Officials say it has been more than 5 years since there has been a case of the German measles reported. Thanks to biochemical engineers and a 3-dimensional printer, the lives of 3 babies have been saved. 3D printers are able to create splints small enough to fit the needs of small children and infants. Also, the printer can construct most of these parts in as little as 1 day. This technology will allow the splint to develop along with the child as he or she continues to grow. Researchers say they're looking for more ways to use this new technology. That's all for health. Now let's go to Jacqueline Serrano with the weather.
The boxing match between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao isn't all that's heating up. The weather in the LA area is expected to stay in the high 80s for the next 4 days, with winds ranging from 11 to 12 miles per hour. If boxing isn't your thing, then it will be the perfect weather to take a trip down to the beach. Goodbye and thank you for watching Matador News. I am Jacqueline Serrano.
I'm Stephanie Stanziano.
I'm Lindsey Karlis.
And I'm Alicia Zerai. Have a great day.